All right, this is the next to last day in this unit right here. Again, please, if there's anything, I know this is not the easiest content in the world, so if you need any help with any of this stuff, you need to be letting me know. All right, but today we're going to be talking about shortage and surplus, and we're also going to be talking about the ceiling and the floor, the signs that have been sitting in my room all year long that's been freaking everyone out. All right, so the first thing, equilibrium price, and this is just kind of a review. Remember that equilibrium occurs whenever we get the supply and demand curve are equal to each other, right? Whenever they're touching, all right? Remember also that whenever they touch, there's two different points that we're looking for that we're interested in. We're interested in the equilibrium price and the equilibrium quantity, right? And also know that this price is our market clearing price. If you remember, this is the one that pretty much gets rid of everything, right? So we're not going to have anything left over. Producers are making exactly the number that consumers are willing to buy. All right, so let's look at the first one right here. Okay, so where does equilibrium at? It's right here. Okay, right where the arrow's at. Okay, the next thing is where does supply and demand cross. So what is our market clearing price? Well, in this case, our market clearing price is $1. All right, our market quantity, right, or our equilibrium quantity right here, well, it's at $2. Right. Now then, let's look at the same exact example, the same thing for Snickers, okay? Again, looking at this, we've got a price of $1. That's our equilibrium. Well, what would happen if somebody accidentally priced the Snickers at 50 cents at your local convenience store, whatever it may be? So at that price, how many Snickers are producers willing to sell? Well, if you look right here, okay, so we go from 50 cents, okay, that's our accidental price, okay? Somebody took the little sticker machine and they put the wrong sticker on it, okay? They didn't do it on purpose, but oh well. All right, so if we come across and where we touch the supply curve at, right here, so this is our supply curve, right? We're going to drop straight down. And you look, how many are willing to be supplied is just one, all right? How many do people want to buy though? Well, let's look at that again. We go from our 50 cents right here, and we're going to come all the way across right here to a price of, or until we hit the demand curve, I'm sorry, and then we're going to drop down again. So we want to buy three of them at that price, and that should make sense. That's a lower price. So heck yeah, it's a good deal. So let's go buy a bunch more of them. So we want three, but producers are only willing to sell us one. So what we have in this case is we have a shortage. More particularly, oops, I'm sorry, we have a shortage of 2 units, right? So we want three, they're making one, right? And again, a shortage, all this means is that there's not enough, right? The quantity supplied is less than the quantity demanded. And there you can see this. So again, we have a shortage of 2 Snickers, right? So we need 2 more Snickers. So this is what usually happens in a store. You can usually tell this anytime you walk into a grocery store or anything like that. What you see happens is this is when the shelves are empty, right? And there's nothing left. Well, that tells you that obviously whatever that store has, either number one, they've got a terrible like stocker, right? And they're just not doing their job. Or in economics, what's happened there is the fact that they had the price too low. Right? And if the price is too low, we're going to have a shortage. All right, now then, let's look at the exact opposite problem, right? Well, what if the store did the exact opposite of what they just did? What if they put it too high? Right? Well, in this case, how much will be supplied? Well, at a price of $1.50, we want to supply three of them. Right? That's what they're looking to do. So we go from our price, $1.50, and we go straight across until we touch the supply curve. Right? You can do this with your finger. I'm doing it with my mouse right here, but you can just go all the way across until you touch the supply curve. And now we're going to drop straight down, and we see that the quantity they're willing to supply is three. Right? Well, what do we want to buy? We as consumers, well, the price is higher now, so we should want to buy less. Well, let's look and see if that's the case. So at a price of $1.50, we're going to come all the way across until we touch the demand curve. Well, right there it is, okay? And then we're going to drop straight down. And in this case, we demand one. So they want to sell three, but we only want to buy one. So now we've got extra, right? Now we've got a surplus. Now this is where you see things in department stores whenever they go on sale, right? And it's usually the stuff that they just have a bunch of extra and they have a bunch of stuff left over. And so now we've got a surplus. The only way to get rid of the surplus is, well, we'd have to drop the price from $1.50 down to $1. All right, so here we go. A price ceiling versus a price floor. Okay, a ceiling is a maximum and it's set by the government. right? And the reason why it's called a ceiling is because it's the highest price that can be charged. So if you're standing in your house, if you're in your living room today, right, and you look up, well, the highest point in your house is the ceiling, right? So the price can't get any higher than the ceiling, right? One thing with a price ceiling, for it to be effective, it has to be set below equilibrium. And we'll talk about that a little bit more here in a second. We'll actually have a graph of it, all right? It always is going to create a shortage. If you go back to this right here, right, to this graph, right, anytime the price falls below equilibrium, we're going to have a shortage. All right, a price floor, on the other hand, this is the government minimum, right, that can be charged. And again, you're standing inside your house, standing in your living room, you look down and you see that that is the lowest point that you can get in your house, right? That's the floor. That's the lowest possible point. For it to be effective, the government has to put it above equilibrium. Probably the most famous example of a price floor is minimum wage. It always creates a surplus. Okay, well, all right, here's your I guess I should apologize for my folks who don't get my humor, but here's Coach Arp, right, and his pretty much his stupidity. Oh well, sorry, right? And here's the little guy. Okay, just remember his name is Price. Okay, and y'all can read all that stuff, the crazy stuff. I'll be reading it in class exactly the way that it says, right? But this guy, just remember him. His name is Price. Okay, so in this case, you see where Price is at. Okay, Price is standing on the floor. So this green line right here, this is a price floor. And Price always wants to get right here, right? He's always wanting to get to equilibrium. Well, right now, he can't get to equilibrium because there's a floor in the way. So he can't go down any lower than this $1.50 price floor. So you can see that the price is $1, but this store cannot charge anything lower than $1.50 for this product, whatever it is. So if we want to go back with Snickers like we had a minute ago, right? Okay, so again, this is our equilibrium point, right? Now then, if we look right here, now price is way down here, okay? And now we've got this blue line in place. This is a price ceiling. Okay, and again, we know Price wants to go back, and I guess you could say that equilibrium is his home, right? Well, he can't get to his home because he can't go any higher than the ceiling. Because if you remember, a price ceiling is the maximum that they can charge, right? The maximum, because the government has stepped in and they said, you can't charge a price higher than this. A lot of times you see price ceilings, the government will step in and they'll set these on medicines, right? Like really important medicines, especially the ones that kind of save people's lives. And the government will say, well, instead of charging $1,000, you can only charge $500. Or they'll say, instead of charging $100, you can only charge $20. And they set a price ceiling, and so they say that's the highest that the price can possibly go. And as you can tell, sorry about that, time for y'all to go. All right, but as you can tell, this is automatically going to create a shortage right here. All right, so again, right here, if the government steps in and they set a price ceiling, right? So that's what it means down here. It says they cap prices. So in other words, they're setting a ceiling. They're going to set it below equilibrium, right? Well, then what's going to happen, right? What's going to happen in this case? Well, you should automatically know if it's a price ceiling, it's going to cause a shortage, right? And I will go ahead and tell you this too. The shortage is actually equal to 1,500 units. So we're actually 1,500 units short of what we really need. All right. But again, you need to practice graphing this out yourself, right? And see if you can figure out how I got that number, that 1,500. All right, and here's you one more, okay? This is a graph for labor, right? So usually unskilled labor, those are the ones who get paid minimum wage, right? So if the government sets a minimum wage at $9, and remember a minimum wage is a price floor, right? So if we've got a price floor at $9, then I can tell you that this is going to create a surplus of workers. So we're going to have a bunch of extra workers. Matter of fact, we're going to have 40 million extra workers. Again, you need to graph this and you need to try to see if you can figure out where I got that 40 million from, right? You need to be able to read this from a graph. All right, and as usual, if you've got questions, again, email me, text me, come during fourth block during my planning whenever you need to. before school, after school, just ask, and I'll be there to do anything I can.